The real test of leadership, especially in nonprofit leadership, isn't when things feel easy. It's when things feel uncertain. And we can't stop the challenges from coming, but we can learn to meet them with a bit of strength and resilience. I'm leadership development coach Kathy Archer, and I am joined today with Kimberly McKenzie. And between the two of us, I'm going to say we've weathered more than a few storms in the nonprofit sector. And we really do know how easy it is to lose our footing. And if you listened to any of our past episodes, you'll hear some of those stories. Today, we're talking about what resilient leadership looks like, how to stay grounded, protect your energy, and lead your team through this. Hello, Kimberly.
Hey, Kathy. It's so great to see you again. It's been a while. I feel like it's been forever since we've had a chat. So
I know.
Thanks for doing this.
I'm excited to talk about resilience because I think it really does impact a lot of leaders. And I think we can both agree that the last few years have been a wicked roller coaster for nonprofit leaders. When you hear the word resilience, what does that mean to you in the context of leadership?
Survival is the first thing that comes to mind for me. But I think resilience it's more than that. And I started thinking about resilience after I created the flow framework with that question of why. Why do we need the flow framework? Well, we need it because it will help us be resilient. So why does resilience matter? Because we are living in such ambiguous, turbulent, dynamic, exciting times, actually, that resilience will help us respond to that effectively. It helps us overcome adversity or uncertainty, and it helps us recover quickly from setbacks, right? I think of the, what is that toy? The punching bag toy?
Yeah,
That toy that just won't, weebles wobble, but they won't fall down. And it's the resilience that helps us bounce back better.
I think of resilience as that ability to bounce back. And I think when I think of resilient people, it's not that we don't get knocked down.
Right.
100% we're going to get knocked down. Leadership is full of lots of stuff that can impact us. It's not that we're not going to get knocked down. It's how quickly do we get back up?
Yeah.
And do we get up with a smile on our face? Do we get up ready to roll? Do we get up, having a bit of grace for what happened and patience for our team?
Yeah.
It's not that we don't get knocked down. It's how quickly we get back up.
Makes me think of my granddaughter at the playground. She's 2.5 and she's just so outgoing and so tough that she'll fall down at the playground, and she's just one of those kids that kind of dusts herself off and carries on.
Yeah.
And that is, that's I think an attribute to successful nonprofit leaders.
So give me a time when maybe you did it well or not so well.
Well, I wrote about this last week. I lost $1 million once. And
tell us the story.
It's now a good time. Should I tell that story now?
100%. Why not?
I had worked I was in a small organization. It only had a $500,000 budget when I became the executive director, but it took us a couple of years, and we built a multi-million-dollar campaign, and we raised $500,000, and then we got another $1 million pledge. And so this $1.5 million was going to be part of this big $14 million campaign launch. And we wrapped a bus, and we had a band, and we invited school kids, and it was going to be this big thing. But it was 2008. And any of you who were fundraising in the fall of 2008 remember it well. And that's when the housing crisis came about, and the world went on an economic turn. And this donor had to lay off over 300 employees. So 2 days before the event, they withdrew their pledge of support and didn't feel like they could publicly give away $1 million after letting go of 300 people, which makes total sense. But boy, that was a sucker punch. Holy cow. And we launched the campaign anyway. We had to just keep moving forward. And in a couple of years, we delivered the campaign. So that could have broke me.
What helped you do that? Like get back up? Because it had to have knocked you down.
Well, I think when you're in a leadership role, you model behavior that you're hoping from others. And while it's tough for me to think back to my 40-year-old self, I think it was grit. I think it was knowing what was in my control, what was not in my control, and knowing that it was an opportunity. And
I like the word,
often these setbacks can be framed as opportunities.
yeah, I like the word knowing, because what that says is resilience is a mindset, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, in sports, you get knocked down and you get back up. It's physical. Um, you know, your strength of your muscles, it's the stamina, the practice you've put in, but it's also mindset in sports too.
Mhm.
It's the ability to go, like you said, reframe what you're hearing, what you're seeing, what you're feeling, the
Mhm.
messages for your team. And so
Mhm.
it's the mindset, the growth mindset. Like you say,
Mhm.
what's the opportunity here? Starting to see that. How can we grow from this?
Mhm.
And I think why that matters, like you said, for teams, when we get hit individually or as a collective on a team, it can really keep us down if we're not careful.
Mhm.
And when we're not resilient, when we don't bounce back up and we stay down, we get bitter, we maybe shut down and don't stay connected to our team. We engage in conversations or the work in a negative way, and it's easy for our teams to slip into that toxic work culture because,
Mhm.
as you said, our emotions, our behaviors are contagious. We're
Mhm.
setting the stage for our team, and if we're not careful and we don't get back up,
Mhm.
we're pulling them down with us.
Absolutely. And that, speaks to compassion and grace as well. Um, and often with my clients, one of the big questions when they come with a juicy topic that they want coaching on, one of the big questions is, will it matter 5 years from now?
Yeah.
And that can really help shift your perspective as well and slip into that abundant mindset.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Gallup's recent research that came out around what are teams looking for, and the number one thing by far is hope. Number two is
Oh, yeah.
trust, right? And
Yeah.
in this world today, if we're feeling hopeless,
Mhm.
our teams are feeling hopeless. And
Mhm.
so resilience is creating that sense of hope.
Mhm.
Tomorrow will be better, right?
Mhm.
I think tomorrow will be better. Let me paint the picture of what tomorrow will look like. I
Mhm.
think we can get there, and here's how. And I think this is the part that you play in it, and this is how we're going to get there. And if plan A doesn't work, plan B will work. And if plan B doesn't work, we've got C, D, and all the way to Z, right? Creating
Kathy,
that,
I'm sorry. I know
go for
you're,
it.
well, I just want to say two words: toxic positivity. And I'd
100%.
like to ask you or chat a little bit about the difference between what I call critical hope. Hope is a verb, and I've written about critical hope, um, and toxic positivity. And what is the difference from your perspective?
It was the three things that I was just describing. The belief that tomorrow will be better than today, but with just that, it's Pollyannish. La, la,
Mhm.
la, la, we can get there. It's
Yeah,
amazing. We
we
can do this.
we can
Yes,
do
rah,
this.
rah, rah, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The second part is agency, which means I need to feel that I can somehow impact my future. That's why we vote. That's why we stage protests. That's why we, as you said, hope is a verb, it's an action. That's
Mhm,
why I'm doing something. I believe that if I take this training, if I write this letter, if I do this thing,
mhm,
schedule this meeting, plan this retreat, whatever, that we're going to get there, right? The
mhm,
third way is what's called pathways thinking, that it's not just one way. Plan A doesn't work, plan B doesn't work, plan C will work, right? And so that's the kind of science of hope. The I had to look to the side. I always forget the name of it. It's also called expectancy theory. And
mm,
again, it's those three things. So a clear and compelling goal or outcome, a path or a process that you believe will lead you to attain that, and a belief that you can execute and succeed. We need all three of those, or
mhm.
else it just is toxic positivity or Pollyannish.
A plan, for success. You know, every time I talk to you, I feel like I just need to write notes down because you are such, you just keep all this stuff in your head, and it's just brilliant. You're brilliant, Kathy. You're brilliant.
Well, okay. Side note, if we're looking at how to be resilient, it's by using our strengths. One of my strengths on the Gallup strengths is input, which means I suck all of that in, right?
Right.
I gather knowledge and I catalog it. So I know these things, right? If you see my desk and my world around me, it's full of sticky notes. So some of it comes out of my brain, some of it comes from here. But that's part of what helps us be resilient. If you're trying to be somebody you're not, and this comes back to some of those conversations we've had in the past, you're not going to bounce back when you're knocked down as easily if you're not being true to yourself.
Yeah, that reminds me, once I had a 3-month stint in a horrible job that I was really bad at. And ultimately I got fired because I never should have had that job, and I never should have taken that job. And that job did not play to my strengths at all. The entire time, it felt like I was trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. Yeah. And that creates a brittleness, right? Yes, like brittleness is the opposite of resilience. I think about resilience as, you know, we talked about Barbara Coloroso because we have very similar backgrounds to our parenting and mothering and profession and all of the stuff. But, you know, Barbara Coloroso talks about a brick wall parent, a jellyfish parent, and a backbone parent. You know, there's structure and yet there's flexibility to it. And when you're not playing to your strengths, I think you get brittle. Does that make sense?
100%. It's interesting. I was listening to Brene Brown this morning. She's got her new book out, and she was answering a question about the book, but she was talking about the need to feel grounded. And we've talked about this before. When you think about sports and feeling grounded, your feet are firmly planted on the ground. And that's part of when we're talking about a backbone approach, your feet are grounded, but you're able to move. Right. But what Renee was talking about was she got a big injury in pickleball. Pickleball? I don't play it. Is that what it is?
Yeah. No, yeah, okay. She plays pickleball.
Yeah. And what her trainer told her was because her core wasn't strong, right? She was using other muscles. And it made me think about yours and my work around values. If our core is not strong, we can plant our feet all we want, but we're going to get hurt. It's actually our core, not our feet, that allow us to have that flexibility and to move when the wind blows, when somebody punches us, like those punching bags that bounce back up. And if we're not strong in our core values, our core beliefs, what our mission is, what our purpose is, what hills we'll die on, it's hard to stand grounded.
Yeah. And that leads to that. I have so many things to say about that, because the values, as we talked about, are the compass for making sure that we know where our true north is. And we do values work in strategic plans organizationally, like with the board. Yeah. Rarely do we ever do values work with our teams. You know, what do we believe as a team? How do we treat each other? How do we hold each other accountable? I would love all teams to do that work. And it's even more rare for folks to have their own personal values. And so I have another story. Do you want another story?
100%. Love stories.
Okay. So here's a story about when my values, when my actions were not aligned with my values. I was grocery shopping the other day, and I was pulling into the parking lot, and there was a car just sitting there, completely in the way of everybody. And I couldn't figure out what the heck this person was doing. And I eventually was able to get around them and find a parking spot. And I got out of my car, and I saw a man who was a senior citizen get out of the car, walk around the car, look at the car that he had just sideswiped, and then get back in his car and drive away. And I felt horrible. This car, the whole front corner of it had the whole bumper had been scraped off, and like I don't know how he caused that much damage, but then he drove away. And I was thinking the whole time I'm shopping, like, what do I do? I just saw this guy do this thing. I came out and there was a couple there who were very distraught, and they asked me, did you see what happened? And I don't know why I did this, and I'm kind of ashamed to say, I said no.
Oh.
I know. And authenticity is it's the strongest value that I have. If I was going to anchor all of my values, authenticity is like my lead. And I totally lied. And I walked back to my car and my body just felt so icky. Everything in my stomach just felt, everything felt awful. And I took a deep breath and I went back to this couple and said, I'm so sorry. I just lied to you. I don't know why I did it. I did see what happened to your car. And that's like the biggest example I've experienced of being in discord with my core value. And there is actually a physical response.
First, I want to thank you for the honesty. I want to touch first on the initial reaction, because I think that's a lot of our initial reactions is, no, I didn't see anything. And it's not that we want to lie, choose to lie. It's an automatic reaction to protect ourselves, right? And so I think lots of times we say things that we regret, not because we are making a conscious decision, which reverts back to all the why we do this work, right? You would not have had the opportunity to turn around and redo that situation if you had not done all of the work you've done, the inner work over the past how many years, right? You were well aware that what you were feeling in your body, that discourse was like, ding, 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 moral compass, like, right? Warning. And that's the piece that we, again, quote Brene Brown twice in one podcast or one call. She talks about how we are the most numbed out society in the world, right? Like we eat too much, we take too many medications, we drink, we just shut our emotions off. And if we're not tuning in, you're not going to be aware that your moral compass is off. And so you're not going to get yourself back up. You're just going to, whatever, no big deal, I lied. It's okay.
But that also speaks to, okay, so we talked about focusing on what matters, the F, and that's core values and purpose.
Well, stop for a moment, because you and I both know your flow framework. Give everybody your flow framework.
We're going to get into it, I think, more in other discussions in more detail, but flow is a practice. It's a practice starting with focusing on what matters, which is purpose and values. Work, vision, where do you want to go? What are your core values? Are your actions aligned with your values? And then we're moving into leading with integrity. So that example of my misstep and adjustment and going back and saying, I'm so sorry, that wasn't what I intended to do. As leaders, we can do that as well. And I have a client who came to me in a session. She's like, I was not the kind of leader that I want to be. And I went, okay, well, that happened. So now what are you going to do about it? I guess I need to apologize and admit that I was wrong. Lead with integrity, So leading with integrity, what do we have? Lead with it, own the culture. So by modeling all of these things, we are creating a culture, and that's also part of a coaching mindset in the culture and all of that stuff. And then finally, the well-being.
Right.
And, I jumped straight to well-being there because as you were talking, I was thinking, okay, but if our battery is low, then we can't be resilient.
No.
So.
Well, and I want to highlight, when people use this flow framework, it really helps them build resilience. So they're preventing burnout for both themselves and their teams, right?
Exactly.
It's this way of slowing down and tuning into what matters, focusing on that is what's going to really help you feel resilient. And, like we've just been talking about, why that's so important for your team. I want to jump into the practical strategies. that we want to talk about. So we said that we would give 3 practical strategies. If people are watching and have questions, please pop those in, whether you're watching now or on the live. Kimberly and I both do work with individuals and organizations in the nonprofit sector. So we'll talk more about what we do individually. If you have questions for around that, let us know. 3 practical strategies. First one is setting boundaries. I want to give a really good example about this that I heard yesterday from one of my students in my membership. We were talking about, setting boundaries and feeling that sort of falling into burnout. And she used such an incredibly practical example. She's feeling that, she's feeling stressed, but she was trying to figure out how to express that to her board. And what she needed was help. Like, I'm dying here, right? I need some help. So when she met with her board, she used the example of, the Oilers is my favorite team, and I have not been able to watch them in the playoffs because I'm so busy and stressed.
Oh, I feel so sorry for her.
Yeah, like beautiful example, right?
Yeah.
It's not just I'm overworked and I'm tired, or I'm overwhelmed and I have too much to do.
Right.
She tied that to her identity. Oilers fan, big time, right? And she used it as a real, and just what you did, emotional example that her board could get behind. As a result of that, she was able to hire a VA to help her out. Like a virtual assistant. Imagine that, right? Because she had the courage to say, I can't watch my favorite team play hockey.
Yeah. Well, taking a pause, because I always get so excited talking to you. But the practical, in terms of boundaries, I think understanding also the biology, and we talked a little bit about the biology of leadership and the value of cortisol. And I wrote about this on my blog this week. If you need to run from a saber-toothed tiger, or you have a major fundraising event coming up, we need the cortisol, we need the stress, but it's not, it's biologically dangerous for us to have our cortisol levels jacked up all the time. We need to reset. And there are ways that you can hack your body to boost dopamine and oxytocin and the other one, serotonin. And I mean, I don't know if you've ever been so burnt out that somebody said to you, oh, you need to write a gratitude journal, start a gratitude journal. And you just feel like punching them in the face. But it actually works, because when you look at the neuroplasticity of our brain and our hormones, and when people say go for a walk, maybe it's not going for a walk that's going to give you that boost of dopamine that you need. Maybe it's having a hidden box of chocolates or something. Figure out whatever it is for you to hack your body to get some of those positive hormones flowing.
Yes. And so it is creating some of those boundaries so that you can do some of that work, right? Taking a moment to take a deep breath, taking the pause. I have clients who write in their gratitude journal at work. Like whatever that boundary is to help you be resilient, set that boundary, keeping your door shut at certain times of day, leaving work at certain times, not picking up your computer at the end of the day. But it's also boundaries around, when you're in the middle of a conversation and you're feeling it building and the energy and the negativity, to set that boundary and say, you know what? I'm just going to step out of here. I had a client recently, and I said to her, what's like the one sort of phrase that you can use when the meetings start to get tense and you need to get out of there? And she's starting all of these different lines. And I'm like, whoa, time out. How about I have to go to the bathroom? And she started laughing. I'm like, you don't even need to get into it. Setting that boundary is just saying, can I just step up for a minute? I got to go to the washroom. It's regrouping. That's that boundary that you're setting for yourself.
Yeah, I moved to a new small town. It's a very social town. There's a lot of people that I go for a walk and I bump into 6 people that I know on the street. And one of the boundaries that my little survival strategy for this small town is I won't gossip. As soon as somebody starts to gossip, or the conversation starts to get, and you know that line where you've moved from sharing information to actively gossiping about somebody. And I will just say, you know what, I'd rather not gossip right now.
Good for you. I have the same, that I can feel that when you're leaning into gossip, it's like, oh, pull me back, right?
Yeah. And that's the leading with integrity, right? So
all right.
The other thing, the other practical strategy is, did you have something else you want to say about
mindset? I was going to go there.
Mindset. So piano, right? I posted this on my Instagram, the Kimberly Canada. If you don't follow me on Instagram, I'd love to meet you there. But I'm taking piano for my cognition, but also I've always kind of wanted to play piano, right? And I went into my piano lesson and said to my piano teacher, I know I should practice more. I felt like I was wasting her time because I hadn't practiced. And she just said to me, Kimberly, you don't need to practice. You get to play piano every day if you want to.
Yeah.
And I went, oh, that's right. So even just shifting the I have to I get to. I get to be an executive director. I get to lead this meeting. I get to go into this, and I get to advocate for my team. I get to do the dishes. It's just a mindset hack, and it helps you lead and move toward abundance. In
my book, Mastering Confidence, or Character Driven Leadership, I have 2 books. There's a chapter called Jot in Your Journal. And I talk about rewriting sentences. I should have this under control. I shouldn't lose my cool. And when you're doing that, literally cross it out and rewrite it. That is the practice of training your mind. We're literally creating new neural pathways in our brain, because just like you did when you said, no, I didn't see anything over the accident. Our old way is, oh my God, I should have. I have to.
That's my little girl, the little girl inside of me. Trouble.
So we have to rewrite those pathways. And by writing in your journal and crossing it out and writing a new one, it's like, remember back in the day when we had to write lines in school? Like the more you write it a new way, you're training your brain to think a new way. So it's not, oh my God, here we go again. Every time you hit a crisis with your team, it's like, oh my goodness, here we go again. Right? It's just a little shift of energy.
I had to pull up my slide deck from my presentation, because there's a quote in there that I wanted to not get wrong. And it's a woman named Dr. Jessica Riddell wrote a book called Hope Circuits. She's on LinkedIn. She's fun to follow, but her book is also extremely important to creating an abundance future within she works mostly in academia, but it's applicable in healthcare, it's applicable in education, it's applicable in charity sector. And this is a quote that I love. Scarcity culture is perpetuated with statements like, we never have enough people, we never have enough staff, we never have enough grants, we never have enough. And this inevitably moves from we never have enough to I am not enough.
Yes. Somehow I am not enough as a leader. I'm not smart enough. I don't have the right education. I can't pull this off. And that's that shifting from scarcity mindset to abundance mindset. And it's phrases, and people say this is like, oh, woo-woo, or, well, affirmations don't work. As I said earlier, we're retraining the brain. So you have to shift from we don't have enough to I don't see where we're going to pull it from yet, but I trust that we'll get there. Right? It's that I don't have to have all the answers, right? We try and shift from, oh my God, the world is ending, to, oh my God, the world is wonderful. That's too far of a shift.
Yeah. That's toxic positivity.
Yes. We've got to start going, I don't know yet. Haven't figured it out. We've got some resources. We're going to do some research. Again, that's back to that pathways thinking that we're looking at. And it's just shifting. And that's that mindset that we have to work on, is to curiosity, right?
And you're going to screw up. And this is, I love mornings. I love mornings because this sounds so Pollyanna-ish, but it's also true. You have a new chance to start over, right? You cannot change what happened in the past. You don't have control over what's going to happen in the future. But
No.
in this moment, right now, you can start over. You can lead with integrity. You can align your actions with your values. You can shift your mindset. You can hack your brain. You can use biology,
Yeah.
because these
Yeah.
things aren't woo-woo.
No.
They actually, I had a workshop with a team of CEOs last week or the week before, I don't remember. Anyway, it was recent. And they all came in, looking to accomplish stuff. And I really like at the beginning of a meeting to take a pause and breathe together for a minute.
Yeah.
And it seems woo-woo. But again, the physiology of just taking a nice deep breath in community with other people and arriving.
Yeah.
It makes a huge difference to being productive, even though it's kind of counterintuitive.
Yeah. I don't know if I've used this quote before. Paradoxically, pause powers purposeful performance.
I love alliteration. I got to write
that. Kevin Cashman. Paradoxically, pause powers purposeful performance. And I think that's the thing. If we're not pausing, and that's part of practicing shifting your mindset, learning how to set those boundaries. So I'm going to go back to the 3 practical strategies for building resilience.
Yeah.
Setting boundaries, shift your mindset. And we're going to jump into the third one, which is practicing self-compassion. Mm-hmm. And you can't practice self-compassion without a pause.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's why I love your book, actually. Okay, I had a bunch of thoughts there, but the character-driven leadership. Because women, it's sexist to say we feel things differently. We do feel things differently.
We're wired differently.
We do walk through the world differently. And if we leverage all of the strengths and the beauty of being softer, to feel deeper.
Feminine traits versus women.
What's that? Feminine traits, right. Yes, because I certainly absolutely know men who have more feminine traits aside from rigid masculine traits. But we were taught, and we've talked about this before, we were taught that that's how to lead. But if you call on self-compassion and grace, and you walk through your day feeling compassion for yourself and for your team, things are easier.
Things are much easier, and we don't fall apart as much when we take care of ourselves. And that's what we're talking about, right? The resilience is the ability to get back up quickly. It's not that we're not going to get knocked down. We have to learn to get back up quickly. If we are exhausted, if we are burnt out, if we are hangry, if our minds are full of self-doubt and beating ourselves up all the time, you don't have the energy to get back up. And you don't have the bounce, right?
Because you're not, if you live in a perpetual state of stress, you eventually experience a medical condition called adrenal fatigue, and you physically cannot get out of bed.
Yes. So self-compassion, I teach in my book and in my membership site, a course called Wellness at Work. Self-compassion might be a bubble bath. It might be a glass of wine. It might be going for a massage. But more importantly, it is fueling yourself throughout your workday. We've talked about the pause. The pause is so incredibly important. Having that space to take a deep breath before going into the next meeting, to grab a little healthy snack, to process what just happened in that last meeting, like, wow, what went on there? To write a few notes down, to maybe take a bite of dark chocolate, whatever your thing is during your workday, so that you're not draining all day long.
Yeah, because the world needs us to be resilient. The world needs us more than ever. The world is, globally, people have said, at this gathering of CEOs that I had a couple of weeks ago, they all looked at each other and went, wait, you're experiencing that too? I thought it was just me. No, it's the world. Things are hard right now. People are hurting right now. And we need to prioritize our own well-being and align ourselves with our values more than ever and be resilient so that we can respond to the needs and we can take care of each other.
So tell everybody how you do that, Kimberly, with your work.
Well, I do it through a one-on-one global coaching practice. I have had clients from Nairobi to Wales to London, England to the west coast of Canada. The only time zone I don't like working in is India or Australia, because it's exactly the opposite. Yeah. So I do that. I do team coaching and team facilitation around all of this work as well. And I also do strategic planning and speaking. So,
and I don't have your website on my thing, but give everybody your website.
KimberlyMcKenzie.ca. And you can get the flow framework there. And if you want to dig into it a little bit more, it's up there. And I just wrote a great blog post. I think it's great about stress and hacking our bodies to, boost those hormones that I was talking about. So KimberlyMcKenzie.ca.
Perfect. And for women who are in the nonprofit sector and feeling overwhelmed, drowning in overwhelm, self-doubt, I help build confidence, set boundaries so that you can take back control of your leadership and start to feel like you have energy left for the rest of your life. I do that through my books. I have 2 books. Character-Driven Leadership for Women is my most recent one. Mastering Confidence is my first one. You can get the first chapter of Character-Driven Leadership on my website. I also teach, coach, and mentor women leaders. I do coaching like Kimberly does. I have a membership called the Training Library, where we have a community of women that get together twice a month. We talk about the challenges we have as well. There is a library of courses in there. That's why it's called the Training Library. A lot of the training that you did not get when you moved from frontline into leadership. So if you are interested in checking that out, please feel free to check that out as well. Kimberly and I are doing a series of conversations around her flow framework. So stay tuned next month. Don't know the date off the top of my head, but we will come back and we will give you some more information around how to build that resilience so that you and your team are not burning out. Mm-hmm. If you are enjoying these, make a comment, please share, always helps get it out in there, and come back for more conversations that I continue to have with nonprofit leaders so that we can all do the mission-driven work that we are meant to do and still have energy left for the rest of our lives. Bye, everyone.